Buenas noches. Good evening. Buenas noches. Vamos a empezar nuestra presentación de hoy. Como todas las semanas, we're going to start like every week with the Padre Nuestro. Si me acompañan, ¿tienen su papelito? Do you have your paper? Or do you need one? Or you can see the one in the okay. So decimos en el nombre del Padre, del Hijo y del Espíritu Santo. Amén. Padre nuestro, que estás en el cielo, santificado sea tu nombre. Venga a nosotros tu reino. Hágase tu voluntad en la tierra como en el cielo. Danos hoy nuestro pan de cada día. Perdona nuestras ofensas, como también nosotros perdonamos a los que nos ofenden. No nos dejes caer en la tentación y líbranos del mal. Amén. Tonight we have some special guests, and Bella Adriana is going to do the introduction. So please enjoy. I hope you take some of the food already. If not, there's more. You can go back if you want to.
I need to turn on the lights. Good evening. For today, we will be talking about the. Sorry, just a second. Today we'll be talking about the Guatemalan textiles, part of the Mayan World. That exhibition is currently in the Salvador, Oklahoma Museum of Natural History Norman here. Sorry?
Yeah, we will.
Oh, so sorry.
Ya está allí la exhibición, ¿no? La fecha.
Okay.
The exhibition is already open. It's open already. Yeah.
In that museum. And we have here two special guests, Joanna Workshop and Sadie Orellana. Now I need the lights.
He's going to talk a little bit about the two wonderful guests.
Please, I'm so sorry for my pronunciation. I am here learning too English. Joanna Workshop is a Colombian citizen living in the United States. She worked for 28 years at the University of Oklahoma and for the last 25 years at the Energy Institute of the Americas. During her 25 years at the Institute, she was instrumental in creating several cooperative agreements between OU and Latin American universities. Under her leadership, she was responsible for that institute too. And under her leadership, she coordinated more than 120 short courses for the oil and gas industry in Latin America, the US, and Europe. She retired on July 1st, 2020. She is currently a consultant for the Albany Center for Energy Solutions, where the institute was incorporated. She is currently a volunteer for Colombian Student Association, founder and advisor since 2001. Colombian OU Alumni Association, founder and treasurer since 2007. Smart Education Foundation, president since 2014. and Latinas woman in Norman, Latinas women, current president since January 2023. And Sally Orellana, born in Guatemala, she pursued a multilingual education in Spanish, English and French. In 2004, she moved with her husband to Norman, Oklahoma. She enrolled in the School of Minister and co-founded a non-profit organization, Hispanic Church, Iglesia Pueblo de Dios, since 2008. She has a business college degree at the University of Oklahoma in supply chain management with a minor in non-profit and other certifications. It's a lot of information that Sally has. And in 2018, she was appointed by the Mayor Miller as a member to the City of Norman Citizens Financial Oversight Board. In 2019, accepted the Hispanic Heritage Month proclamation by the Mayor Clark, the Human Rights Award by the Human Rights Association, and the OK chapter of the United Nations Association. In 2020, was selected one of the top 50 making a difference by the Woman of the Year Award here in Oklahoma. She is currently the Hispanic Programs and Service Specialist at EPIC Charter School and also the current Mrs. Guatemala for Oklahoma. Welcome both of you and enjoy the presentation.
Good evening, everyone. I heard that this is the Spanish class. Is that true? Sí. Sí. Muy bien. Well, I'll try to be, if you want to go back just one slide. Okay, so these are pictures that were taken by me with my phone. And so a little bit of background from Guatemala. You know, it's south of Mexico. It's not part of Mexico. I've been asked that question many times. And so it's south of Mexico. But you can find pretty much about everything. One of the comments one time was, oh, there is electricity. Yes, there is electricity. It's a country, and it's being, this year we celebrated our 200-year independence. So it was the bicentennial. And we are some of the coffee producers. The model of Mac Cafe came from Guatemala. The kids' meal box, that was originated in Guatemala. Nescafe, the instant coffee, was originated in Guatemala. So those are little remarks in reference to cafe. Has anybody been to Guatemala before? Oh, okay, so that makes it easier for you to connect and think of the colorful places and the green area. And you can go to the black sand beach on one end by the volcanic area, and you can drive 8 hours and you're already on the white sand beach. You can have all different weathers, and you can also have the city life in Guatemala City. But let me go to the next slide. I was born and raised in Guatemala until I was 16. And my father said that I needed to learn how to speak English and French before I moved to the U.S. And of course he could afford it because he was living in the U.S. and he could send money. And my mom could pay for my education. And so, moving forward, in 2004 when I moved to Oklahoma, I had the honor and privilege of getting to meet Ms. Joanna Walshop while we were doing some cultural event planning at the Norman Library. And since then, we've been together in many different events. And so, 2006, we had a conversation of, hey, there is a collection at the San Noble Museum that it's being there virtually. It's available to the public online. Someday, we should find a way to share with the public. And so that conversation went on until 2019, when we had a conversation with the former consul of Guatemala here in Oklahoma that was recently started at that time. And so communications went through, and finally she's going to tell us a little bit more about that background.
I have to take a picture.
So before I go on, I'm going to allow Joanna to introduce herself before we talk about this.
Buenas noches.
Buenas noches.
¿Cómo están? Bien, qué bueno. Well, I'm originally from Colombia, as you heard before, and I have been here in Norway for 31 years. And I'm working at OU. Yes, I retired, and it lasted 2 months. I'm back part-time. And I got into this because, although I have been working in the oil and gas industry and energy, I'm an anthropologist, and I love textiles. So when I moved here with my husband, he was a math professor, and I had my 2 kids, and I went to the museum, and I told them I'm an anthropologist. I just finished my master's in textiles from New York, and I went to BBC, and they told me, yes, there is a room full of boxes of Mayan textiles. Nobody has got about that. And the person that was donating that from Oklahoma, an archaeologist, was donating these textiles. And I said, well, I don't know anything about Mayan textiles, but I'd love to look at them. So that's how I started volunteering at the ceremonial museum. So I think maybe a background about Guatemala, a little bit, it's in place, and then I'll give you more details on the collection.
Thank you, Ms. Joanna. We're going to share a video. It is in Spanish, and so you're going to practice the listening part. This is one of the places that is highly known for having a collection of textiles.
Guatemala nos sigue sorprendiendo con sus costumbres. En este país hay una ciudad que destaca por mantener hasta hoy las tradiciones mayas mezcladas con el cristianismo. Soy María Iglesia Subercalzón, viajera y fotógrafa. Hoy los invito a que conozcamos juntos la tierra de los mayas, creencias intactas donde incluso la muerte es un gran ritual. Chichicastenango. La feria de Chichicastenango destaca por sus colores llamativos, tejidos, frutas, verduras y gritos, porque sus vendedoras saben que esta es la feria más importante de Guatemala. Por lo tanto, es un imperdible para cualquier turista que visite la ciudad. Aquí la artesanía cuenta la historia de sus ancestros y entrega el mensaje más puro de la cultura de los indígenas quichés, tanto en sus figuras como en las joyas. Cuando los españoles llegaron a estas tierras, introdujeron el catolicismo, provocando el sincretismo de ambas culturas de una forma muy particular. Se construyen iglesias, pero se mantienen las tradiciones de sus antepasados. Y lo que más destaca en esta maravillosa feria son sus tejidos.
Este es de un pueblo que se llama Nevaj. Está 3 horas de Chichicastenango.
Nevaj.
Nevaj.
¿Ya?
Tenemos más, mira, que también es del mismo pueblo, mira. Acá tiene si te puedes ver, es el ave del quetzal.
¿El ave de Quetzal?
Sí, el quetzal es símbolo de Guatemala.
Ah,
El ave
aquí.
símbolo, sí.
Aquí la veo, claro. ¿Y qué es típico de Chichicastenango?
Chichicastenango es
Ah,
el traje. Ajá.
este es el traje de Chichi, como le dicen ustedes.
Sí. Ese es el cuero del sol. Y acá está lo que representa esto es la cruz maya.
Bueno, vamos a invitar entonces a toda la gente de Chile que venga a comprar aquí al mercado en Chichi.
Claro que sí, los esperamos aquí en Chichicastenango.
Perfecto.
La variedad de esta feria, que es la más grande de Guatemala, es realmente increíble. Maíz a granel, frutas, verduras se mezclan con un olor fascinante, acompañado a solo centímetros de las cocinerías funcionando como verdaderas fábricas de comida. Mientras caminamos, nos encontramos con un grupo de mujeres que muy concentradas están preparando tortillas de maíz, un producto clásico de esta zona. Y yo voy a intentarlo.
¿Cómo me resulta la tortilla? Esa es mi tortilla, la más fea de todas. Aquí están todas lindas las tortillas de las niñas. A probar las tortillas con frijoles aquí de las chicas.
Chichicastenango no deja de sorprender. Mientras caminamos, la iglesia de Santo Tomás se impone con toda su belleza. Esta iglesia es concurrida por cientos de fieles y sus escaleras se llenan de coloridas flores. Este lugar representa uno de los ejemplos claros del sincretismo que define Chichicastenango. Vemos sacerdotes mayas quemando inciensos en la entrada y al interior el catolicismo está presente en sus figuras. Esta iglesia fue fundada en 1540 y su arquitectura representa las construcciones coloniales de la época. Y no podemos irnos de Chichicastenango sin visitar uno de sus imperdibles, un lugar que sorprende por sus colores, una armonía que contrasta a todo lo que estamos acostumbrados a ver en un cementerio. El cementerio general de Chichicastenango se impone con sus 1000 colores. Aquí la muerte no es sinónimo de tristeza, al contrario, es el momento perfecto para renacer. La muerte es un ritual, proceso que heredaron de sus antepasados, y muy por el contrario a lo que nosotros conocemos de la cultura católica. Una vez más, el sincretismo se deja ver, en una mezcla casi perfecta entre lo maya y lo que han heredado de los españoles. Chichicastenango nos enseñó y nos maravilló con su cultura. Llamativos colores por donde se mire y rituales propios de sus raíces que se niegan a olvidar. Todo esto es parte de lo que veremos al visitar esta tierra, donde la mezcla de la sencillez, tranquilidad y belleza son elementos que hacen de Chichicastenango un lugar para realmente disfrutar.
Okay. So as you can tell, it's lots of colors, lots of mixture. And so later on, we'll share some of the outfits, and the one I'm wearing today from a place called Sodor Land. The fun part of Sodor Land is that when you go there, there's a lake, and it's surrounded by 12 different towns, and each of those towns are named after an apostle. Santiago, James, and then San Juan, San Pedro, and so all of the apostles. It's the strongest version of the fusion from the Spaniards and the indigenous people. All the outfits are either telling a story or are displaying something about nature. Mayans were not known to be warriors. They were not in war purposely looking for a battle. They were more about the nature. And so every one of those outfits, you're gonna see that what it represents. And so before I keep on going, there is a map that we can share, yes, that picture, and that goes to Joanna.
Thank you, Sadie.
Okay. So when I moved or decided to volunteer at the museum, I was told that this is the archaeologist, John Pitzer, that was donating these textiles. He was traveling every year to Mexico and Guatemala, to the Mayan area. And then, I don't know why, but he never wrote the names of the towns where he was collecting the beautiful pieces. So for me, it was like a detective work at the beginning. So I met with him and I said, I need books, and I prepare, as an anthropologist, I prepare like a fact sheet so he could write down the name of the town, if it was ceremonial or a domestic item, the cost, because these items, and maybe Heidi will explain better, they are very expensive. At that time they were expensive, now even more. And we needed to know the value of this collection. So little by little, he started being a little bit more organized, and then I started learning from the pictures and from the items that I was uncovering in these beautiful boxes, all the different towns. The Mayans, they have a distinctive techniques and colors, and there is a lot of significance in their design, as Heidi was explaining. Next page. And also because they have a lot of dialects, of languages. So there are like 24 different languages, 21 of them being Maya. So the way I cataloged the costumes was through the language. Those were the groups. And these are kind of the colors. The purple one is the Spanish-speaking language. 55% of them, that's what Wikipedia today told me, speak Spanish, and sometimes in the other languages are mostly in the rural area. So that's how this started. It lasted, my participation lasted like 10 years, working with Mr. Pitzer and asking him to complete costumes, because he had sent, for instance, the blouses, the beautiful blouses, like this one. They are called huipiles, and we needed the corte. Do you have a corte by any chance?
Yeah.
Corte are the skirts. But they are different depending on the town. That might not be from Santa Catarina Palopo, is this blue one. That's a typical color from that town. And he probably bought just the huipil, but not the skirt. So I was completing costumes, male and female. And then I asked, well, what about the children? So he started collecting the children.
This is the skirt.
But you have to put it on. So show him how you wear that.
So one important item that she's mentioning is we don't mix the skirt from one town with the feel from the other town. That's a no. But today, just for this model purposing, we just wrap it all the way around. But when it's being folded, there's a specific way where it has like a design before tying it. Which you can So we have to tie it really. We have to tie it really tight, because I can tell you, I was at an event, and I was wearing a tight, and I didn't feel when this got loose, and I stood up, and my skirt fell down. Luckily, I did have some jeans underneath, and so leggings. But everybody started laughing. What do? Just pick it up, roll it around, and move on. But then it has a way. It has the proper length, and it has a proper refill that goes with it. The proper way to put it on.
Yes. And those bells are also beautiful, and they have, I don't know if you have, because it's at the museum, of course, the originals, the tocados, for the head. So everything is very specific for each town, which is beautiful, the story. So this is from Santa Catarina Palopo, and they love blues and greens. And the other two that I have are more, I guess, for tourists, but they're still very, very beautiful. These are the ones I wear.
Yeah, this is really thick.
Yeah.
This is really thick. I mean, this is like
Very
for
light.
tourists, so it's very light.
Yeah, and also because there are different climates, right, in Guatemala. So sometimes it's colder and lighter when it's warm weather. And I also brought this, which I thought it was very interesting. As Saidi was saying, the designs have meanings. And it depends on the town and the traditions, and they are passed from generation to generation. So in this picture, I wrote down here, because each design has a name that might represent something. So for instance, the stripe here is called a street. So when they say there is a street, it's this just design here. And then they have some that are called flags and cone and arch. And what else here? Of course, they have strawberries and birds and flowers. But there are a lot of geometric designs that have meanings for them. And it varies depending on the town. Do you have another thing to show them?
So those maps in there, one is from the country, and you can, this right here has the mileage. It's a small country. You can cross it probably in about 12 hours from the Pacific to the Atlantic. But it's so diverse that it'll take you a little longer to just pass by. You still got to stop and get to know the town. But Guatemala is known to be the heart of the Mayan world. And some publications say that the Mayans were extinguished or disappeared. That is not true. Far from being true. The amount of population decreased at some point, but it reached about 10 million people, and it went down to about 5 million. There are many theories of why that happened. But as she was saying, the weather changes, and when you hear about nature and the sustainability of the environment, that was true. And so we're seeing again how that applies to today. So the Mayans have not extinguished or disappeared. They are so vibrant, And it is believed that here in Oklahoma, there are about 25,000 Guatemalans. And so according to my DNA test from 23andMe, I don't know how accurate that is, but it says that I am 51% indigenous, and the other 49 is a mix of European, Jewish, and Filipino. Go figure, I'm just a Latina. And so, but the point here is that the more we learn about our background. My dad, one of the outfits at the exhibit from some novel, it's this male outfit. It belongs to a place that it's called Huehuetenango. And you're gonna find a lot of places in Guatemala that end with Nango. And that means a place of. And so in Huehuetenango, they have the males wear a red striped pair of pants, and the shirt, it's like with blue lines. And so when we're saying about a specific region, when you go to the Sun Novel, you're gonna find that outfit. But this activity on November 1st, they close every road on the town because they have a horse race. Because indigenous were forbidden from riding horses when the Spaniards came. And so as a show of bravery, they decided to run those horses. And so to this day, it's one of the popular races that happen on November 1st. And so my dad used to tell me some of the stories. I really didn't pay attention much. But the older I got, I understood what he meant. And so this time we had an artist that came to bring an exhibit of art and painting, and he brought this painting. And so I totally identified with it, and I knew what the background is. And so now when you go to the museum, you're gonna be able to understand the importance of that specific outfit. Because all of those have a story in the background. There's a purpose for everything they do. And so this outfit took at least 6 months to get it completed. It's done by hand, and they follow the same pattern over and over. And so they have to follow the rules, because it is important. There is a story being told. And so it is thick, and it's warm, because that temperature in that area, it is warm. And so today I was telling about an article that that was uploaded to the Oklahoman. It was shared by the Oklahoman, and it came out today. And you can see part of one of the blouses at the exhibit is this right here, and she took a close-up of one of the outfits at Sun Noble. And so there is so much that can be said about it.
It's really very few pieces that are in the exhibit. Most of it is still in storage, so they have a lot of material to show maybe in the future, because I don't know exactly how many villages are represented in the exhibit, but they have at least 60 complete costumes. And the neat thing that I learned 2 weeks ago was the opening, is that the new director of the museum, they are acquiring new collections of Mayan textiles, so it's growing. They're growing this beautiful collection.
And when she mentioned about the value, the cost, this could be about $800 to $1,000, the complete attire. And my husband didn't bring me the skirt. So that means that we gotta go back and get him the skirt. But he got me the blouse, and so we'll do 50-50. That's any relationship. It is available. This is exactly what it's one of the ones available. So this is the outfit I was telling you about. That it's there that you can see. And we just had Fiesta de las Americas on Saturday in Oklahoma City. I don't know if some of you were able to be there, but there's a parade that is done by different organizations and countries. And Guatemala won first place on the overall float. And it was because we represented how green it is, but also the people wearing our colorful outfits and doing the dances and the music, live marimba. And so I could keep going on because I am passionate. I like it. I love it. And I love my black beans and all of that. So.
Do you have photos of the Saturday event?
Yeah, on my Facebook page. I post them all because it's hard to keep them all into one place. Yeah, because Bella and I are friends on Facebook as well. And so Bella had also a video in her channel from an artist, a cartoonist. Guatemala is known, when Joanna was saying about the geometrical figures, we were highly encouraged to be great in math. That was like the thing to do. If you're going to be good at something, be good in math. That's something that is taught since we're little. And of course, the writing, one of the oldest civilizations, it can go back all the way to 1800 BC. And so there are records of it, and so you can. I think if you click on the album, that's my daughter. She was born in Guatemala as well. I think it's down. So can you click on the second row to the right, where it's there? Yes. This is a group of young dancers. They're performers. And if you look at the dress the lady is wearing, the girl in blue is wearing, it's from one of the famous churches, Catholic churches in Guatemala called Esquipulas. And it's pretty big. It's one of the iconic places, and that's why they had it done on her dress. And then the boy, the young man, is wearing that outfit I'm telling you about, and so he's supposedly selling cotton candy. And then the other three girls are from a town called Quetzaltenango. It's another mango place. And so you see them three that are wearing a skirt that it has a black background with the stripes, and it has a line in between where it's representing that specific town, and that's how we can tell where the person is from. And can you find one with a float? Maybe that's a lady that is here in Oklahoma selling those. Now she figure how she orders the fabric, and then she makes them, assembles them instead of creating the fabric. She assembles them.
Are you a queen?
Yes, I am currently Mrs. Guatemala for Oklahoma, for the state. With the crown. Well, I don't know if you had any additional questions that we can answer.
What is the fiber content? Is it wool?
It is wool. It is wool, and it is hand processed. And those are some of the girls from El Salvador, because we have a large population from El Salvador here in Norman, and so they were asking if we had any. If you go up a little.
I'm trying to find the exhibition here.
At the Oklahoma History Center.
Oh, this is the
Down, you were right in there. Go up. There's one with a group. You can go up. They're right there. So that was done at the Oklahoma History Center on September 18th. That was the closing day for the art exhibit. And if you can see the paintings in the background, that's where I got my painting from. And so the Moros are the ones sitting on the front. The indigenous people were tricked with mirrors by the Spaniards. And they were the Spaniards were taking the jewels, the stones, gold stones, and all the jade in exchange for mirrors. Later on, they figured out that the mirrors were not better than the jewels, and so they turned it into a parody of what the Spaniards looked like to the indigenous people. And so they started wearing those outfits, and that's how they retell the story to our generations. And so they're portraying, reenacting some of those stories that happened during the contest. And so that's
the collection has masks too. I mean, Joe Pitzer also was bringing masks. And I told him, can you bring some of the costumes too? And he said they are very, very expensive. So that was, and they don't sell them, they do it, make them for themselves. So we have masks, but not the costumes. And maybe it would be nice if you can explain to them your beautiful huipil, the white one, that you were wearing. That's a ceremonial.
El blanco.
Maybe the one with the picture and with Joanna. There it is in the middle. Okay, so on the right side, I have my friend Hilda with me, and that's her daughter. That's from one of the towns, and you can see the designs. That is something that can be worn for a special occasion. But the one I am wearing on the left, it's used for ceremonial purposes. It has to be a very important event where we wear those type of outfits. And so that is the ceremonial outfit from Huehuetenango, where my dad is from. And so it has a huipil, and it has an over huipil. The cape is the over huipil, because underneath there's another blouse. And that is also hand embroidered.
How much?
Well, my friend got it for me because her family still lives there, and she got her a very discounted price of $700. And that's
Just one piece or the huipil?
The set.
The set.
Yeah, because they know the person that makes it.
Okay.
What would it normally cost? At least $1,500.
So crazy.
And
so to put it into context, a person might make about $10 a day for their work, and so they can probably make about $150 to $200 a month when they have a job.
And it's handmade and
so it would take them years to have any of those outfits. That's why it's really important to see anybody that is wearing that. It's a show of wealth, because it would take many years to be able to afford one of those.
Are the younger generation, are they learning to do this craft?
It is at risk as we get westernized and social media influence. But in Guatemala specifically, there's this characteristic of preserving the culture. And more they're starting to appreciate the value of history and traditions. And so they're still teaching them.
Are they working to preserve the indigenous language? Is that
Yes. Yes, they're working on it and creating dictionaries. And
is it something they have to work at because Spanish is so prevalent, or is it just natural they're speaking it, reading and writing it?
it is almost the same as what we have to go through here, where the kids might start losing the language by the language spoken in the environment. And so when I was growing up, we were going through the Civil War, the peak of the Civil War. And so wearing one of these outfits meant being at risk because they were a target. And indigenous were considered rebels. And so people would not take the risk of wearing any of these outfits if they didn't have to. And also, racism exists in different countries, many countries, and so they were, indigenous people were belittled for being indigenous. And so that was another reason why they didn't want to wear these outfits or speak their parents' language. But it has changed. The more and more we educate our children, the more they're willing to take it and retain it. Yes.
What other clothes do they wear? Is it modernized where they wear kind of like American clothes when they don't wear?
Yes. Westernized. Very westernized. Jeans. It's a mix of the culture from Mexico, because Mexico is a high influence in Central America. And when I was growing up, I had a lot of influence from Venezuela. And because they had a lot of TV programs, and Spain as well. But once that faded, we moved on to Mexico. And so it's a mix of Mexico and the U.S. Okay, so time just keeps going on, and it's already 8 p.m. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah.
And so it is available. You can visit one of the most ancient traditions, and it's right here at our hometown. It took more than 40 years to have it available, and so we're so proud to be some of the Normanites, making some history and having it available for the public to see.
So from September 14 already to December 6th is the time?
It'll be available until December 6th.
December 6th. Okay.
At the Sun Noble.
Sun Noble. We need to go. I mean, this is so amazing.
Is it on the first floor?
It's on the second floor. There's the name of the room. I can't remember.
It's
the
okay.
one at the end.
It's not too big. We can get it.
Última de
5, 6.
a las 5 de la tarde.
Yeah, they open about 9 or something like that. I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm sure the time changed when COVID came, so we need to check and what are the times. Even the store changed the time. Well,
hours on the right.
Before we finish,
10 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Sunday from 1 a.m. 1 p.m.
Yeah, muchas gracias, Joanna and Tyler. I wanted to say before we completely close that it was in Guatemala where Blessed Stanley Rother stayed for many, many years. The reason we had the institute with his name. I think until 1981 is what it said in here. And he lived in one of those towns around that big lake in Atitlan. So he was in Santiago, one of the Santiago de Atitlan. And that's when he was killed. Also, I think he has the hard time learning when he was
Learning the language?
No, he was able to learn the language, the indigenous language, really easy. He had a hard time when he was in seminary to learn Latin. But then when he got to Guatemala, he just fell in place. And he came for a family, they have farm. So he teach to the indigenous what he knew, and he learned from the indigenous. So he was very happy for so many years in there. And when his life was in danger, and then he came to Oklahoma, come back to Oklahoma because he's from Oklahoma. But then he just felt that his heart was there. So he had to go back. And when he got there, they killed him. So he loves the indigenous, he loves the people. I understand that he learned the language to translate the Bible into the indigenous language. So I think it's just wonderful, very blessed. So I wanted to put that. Thank you very much, Sadie and Joanna.